Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
We're watching Fanboy.
A fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
God, I assume Tom.
I get to talk to the bad guy today, Chael Sonnen, the American Gangster. How are you, my man?
I'm awesome, RC. How are you doing?
I am great. I've been dying to talk to you for a while. One of the baddest men on the planet. One of the best promos in the world. If it wasn't for MMA, most people wouldn't know who you are. I'm going to talk you up. You know, you've been a friend of Roddy Piper, so you know how the game works getting on the mic. How's everything?
Man, it's awesome. That was a great lead. And thank you for doing that. Yeah, you bring, a quick story on that, but I was teammates with a guy named Colt Toombs. Now, it turns out that Roddy Piper's last name is Toombs. I did not know that. So I'm teammates with Colt Toombs, and Colt told me one day, we were working out every day. I saw him every single day. It was about a year into it. He says, my dad's picking me up from practice. Next thing you know, Roddy Piper walks in the room. I said, Colt, your father's Roddy Piper. I had no idea. He said, well, I told you my last name. I thought you knew. So at any rate, all I'm saying is, yeah, man, that was a pretty cool experience. I miss Colt. He was a hell of a fighter, and RIP to Roddy, right?
Absolutely, man. But today we are talking about Mojave Diamonds. This is, I'm convinced they just gave you talking points, and it's just Chael Sonnen ad-libbing at this point.
I think that's mainly true, but that was just from being an untrained actor. I'm not so good with the lines, RC. I'm a little better with, let's see what direction it goes and then go out there and be a little bit more organic. But that allowed, my co-actors to do the same thing. I think people enjoyed it. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. This is my first movie, but that's what I did.
Well, you did a great job. And this is no disrespect to Asif Akbar, the writer of the film. So we want to make sure Asif gets his credit. And you made him look good on screen.
Hey, Asif was great, man. Young guy. He came off making 3 pictures before he went into this one. He got done with this one, went and had to do more movies. People are really seeking him out. I will tell you, he is a very masterful boss. He's a guy that is in charge that you can turn to for leadership, that does it very calm. He never has to raise his voice. He never has to point a finger, and he gets things done. Really good leadership by Asif.
The beautiful part about this film is this is like the King of the Alphas movie. It's you. It's Cowboy Cerrone. It's Rampage Jackson, and this is the first time I've met you, but I've hung out with them before. How do you guys keep the ego in check, and how does someone like Asif, who isn't in the fight game, able to reel you guys in and make sure that the set stays professional without everybody trying to one up each other?
Well, hey, if that happened, that probably would have been a problem for anybody. I wouldn't enjoy that either. I will tell you, it's not quite what you think, though. We call it the locker room, but when the boys are together in the locker room, there's just a way. You look around for about 3 minutes and you know who the boss is. It just works that way. Very seldomly that gets tested. And, a lot of times who they thought was the boss, maybe wasn't, but I'm just sharing for you. It wasn't much different on set. We all kind of knew and understood. And in this case, Cowboy was the real leader. He was the one that got Rampage and I in this. So we came out and we had that appreciation, and yeah, everybody worked well together. Rampage and I had fought at one point. So then when we're doing fight scenes and one of us is going to shoot each other in the movie, it's one of those situations. It was a little bit awkward, quite frankly.
This movie does not slow down at all from the get-go. It's just action-packed. Even the slower parts still is at a simmer. It never cools off. And that's what's fun about this film.
I'm glad that you said that. I haven't got to see a screener yet. And, I even got a poster. They had changed the name. It went from Mojave Diamond to something else. But whoever did this, it was some kid on the internet being fun, trying to do what they call a troll job. But I fell for it. So I even sent it to Rampage. Rampage comes back to me a month later after he spread it around social media. And he says, hey, man, why'd you set me up with that fake poster? It's I didn't mean to. I thought it was real. So, here we are. I think we're a week away, 7 days exactly till a release. I know that release at least is in Canada. I don't know, in North America, might have to wait a little longer.
May 30th is the release day all across North America. So we are excited for this one. I'm happy I got to see it ahead of time. I can't wait to find out your reaction on social media when you finally get to see the final cut.
I'm pumped about that, RC. I got to tell you, they didn't really give us much of anything. My niece has a small role in it, so I'm very, very happy. Excited to graduate in high school, and she's going to go on to a art school in New York to try to, pursue her dreams. So yes, it's going to be a fun event, man. When that comes, my whole family will sit around. My son asks me about it every day. He came out to to Las Vegas to do some of the filming and whatnot. And at any rate, we're excited to see it, buddy.
You know, let's pull this back for the people that aren't fight fans or the people that have no combat sport experience. So, you know, you, Rampage, Cowboy, you're not used to pulling your punches in real life. You know, obviously Cowboy did a movie with Gina Carano, which was Terror on the Prairie. Rampage has done a bunch of movies since A-Team. This is your first flick. You know, when working with the stunt coordinator, how difficult is it to start pulling those punches?
Well, it's hard. It really is. I mean, there's just like a way that you do it, and there's a little bit of a different speed. I had to redo a take a number of times, and Rampage was getting frustrated with me. He said, man, just throw the punch. Throw the punch. If it lands, it lands. That's on me. I know it's just throw the punch, but it was hard for me. I kept, raising my hand or trying to move it, or I even had a habit of doing like The Rock does, where you throw a punch, you slap yourself. And I don't even know where that came from. I haven't trained pro wrestling. I don't know why I was doing this, but it is some stuff to work on, man. Reading those scripts and then trying to make it look good on the camera. There's an art form to it.
Well, you're doing something right, especially with your first film. And since you're playing Joe, you're the voice of reason between Roy and Danny. Danny is the baby of the bunch, and he seems, a little more level-headed and just go with the flow. Roy is obviously the standard middle child, and you're the authoritarian, know-it-all older brother. Yet it works across the board, and it feels like you guys are family.
Well, you got that exactly right, RC. I appreciate that, man. And yeah, it felt like that way even when it ended. Like when it ended and wrapped, so then you've got to disassociate with in real life versus it was hard. I missed the character. I missed having them as my brothers, frankly.
Yeah. But, in the film, you guys are going hunting. I know Cowboy likes to do that in real life. Is that one of your hobbies up in the Pacific Northwest?
Yes, I enjoy that. I enjoy being outside, and more of that was in my youth. My father was a real cowboy. I mean, he competed in the rodeos, and the belt buckle he wore every day, it was one that he won the hard way. So we did a lot of that. We grew up in the country, and we had the horses and the cows. There was a lot of work to be done. But now that I've grown up and now that I've got a family, I moved them into a neighborhood. I have cleaned my last horse stall, I'll tell you that.
Well, you can send your kids there as a vacation just to build them up a little more.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Your son came out for the film. Your niece has got a spot in it. Asif wrote and directed this. When it's such a small scale project like this, that it's that intimate, how quickly does the shoot move and how precise is it? Because you see these big budget films that take 6 months to a year and a half to film and then another year and a half to edit. And it feels like this arduous process that you forget about at the end of it. Yet when you guys cut down the shoot schedule to between 2 weeks and a month and a half, it's almost like filming theater. How much more preparation do you need for something like this?
Well, so you take as much as you can, but I will tell you, like when they change scenes, and I'm coming to you as an expert, right? I've had one movie, but in that one movie, I have formed a lot of opinions, and I kind of liked it when they would change a scene up and they would do it right there on the fly. Hey, this will look better. Do this instead. I thought it was better. I thought it seemed more natural. I saw a lot of second takes. I thought the first take in the walkthrough was better several times. And I do some television, but in sports. And we will do that a lot. We will do what's called a rehearsal. And I always wish that we'd film the rehearsal so we could edit that in instead of the live. I feel like that first take is just better genuinely most of the time. Then don't forget, we had Weston Cage as well. Now that was a true actor, and that was a true talented thespian that had many different approaches and would talk to us and help a little bit. But I will tell you, I thought some of the stuff that was more organic and more off the cuff, I thought it was more believable.
Well, the film's still believable and still enjoyable. It's got that old school early 80s action feel where there's stakes involved. It's not just shoot 'em up, let's go, and keep the story moving forward with all these MacGuffins. There's actual heart to this film.
Sure. Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that. And you could really feel that. It was one of the reasons I brought up the fact that my niece was in it. I mean, that wasn't just a proud moment, but she played my daughter, and you do feel it. I mean, but that's the magic of Asif. I don't know that Cowboy and Weston and Rampage and I get any credit for that. That was the brilliance of the director, to make it cozy, to make it intimate. And even times that we weren't filming, there was things that Asif did that were bonding moments, and they were happening to us on accident. We weren't aware until I got done and I got home and I looked back and I realized the real brilliance of Asif as a director.
I explained this to a lot of my actor friends because I come from the world of wrestling and judo, and then I got fat from all the injuries and having a poor diet. So I blame that all on myself. But I refer to fighters as weeds and actors as flowers. And it sounds negative in the beginning, but where it comes in is that flowers, you have to make sure there's the right amount of soil. There's the right amount of fertilizer, right amount of sun, right amount of water. You have to prune them so they continuously be pretty. With fighters and those of us from combat sports, we're weeds. You know, you chop us, you pluck us, you cement us over, and we'll find a crack and still pop up and share the sun and the light with the flowers, you know. And it feels like that because you guys are legit in this film.
That was poetry, my friend. I loved that. I'm going to take that, if you don't mind, and use something similar. By the way, I think that you're fat. I laughed because you made it sound funny. You said you got a wrestling in the way, and I just understood it. More than anything, I understood it. RC, I used to tease people that walk for exercise. I go to a gym, I'd be doing the curls and the presses, and you'd have somebody that come in and they would get on the treadmill and walk, and then 30 minutes later they would go home. They wouldn't even need to shower because there was no sweat. I made fun of those people. I am now that person. I have a treadmill in my garage. Thank you, COVID. I got a little television. I go walk in my street clothes. When I'm done, I don't shower because I don't need to. So I wasn't laughing at you, buddy. I was laughing with you.
Yeah. No, I know, man. And I'm fine with that. I'm making fun of myself because I know what it's like to have the poor diet and all the injuries. I can only imagine what you're feeling like at this point. You know, 45, feeling like 80-year-old knees. So it's one of those things.
Taking testosterone and walking on treadmills, and I still got the biggest arms in Oregon. Take a look at can you believe that? Can you believe that? Coming to a screen near you with Mojave Diamonds. Can you believe that? The biggest arm in all of West Lynn.
I'm looking forward to people's reactions for this. Action movies need to have a major resurgence. They do on the small screen, or if you have a large television set at home, but we need those big blockbuster actions, you know, like Commando and Rambo and everything else. Mojave has that feel on a lower budget, but it's a big scale film because there is truth in family into it and the survival thing. Unfortunately for Roy, nothing seems to go right in this film, though.
Look, Roy's a little bit of a mess up. You know, I mean, he tries to get it together at the end. He's got the right attitude. He's got passion. He's a hard worker. I don't think we could take that from him. He's just dumb as hell. I mean, what do you do when you got a little brother that's a dum-dum? He does everything else right. He's not afraid to get up in the morning. He gets up when it's dark. He goes to bed when it's dark. I appreciate that. And that's why I got to look out for him, RC.
Is that what they call like the 90%er? Like it's that last 10%
yes.
that screws everything up?
By the way, what do you think of the glasses? I mean, this is what a movie star would wear to do an interview, correct? A movie star would wear some cool shades like this, right?
I dig them, man. You're going full Tony Stark on us.
These are your two options now. I mean, this is a very handsome man. Let's not kid ourselves. But I mean, what do you think? This is what a star would wear.
Well, you've been a star for well over a decade and a half, so you don't have to prove anything to anybody, whether it's on the film set or in the cage.
I appreciate you, buddy. And thank you for watching. I can tell that you got a screener and you watched it early. And I got to tell you, I'm a little jealous about that. I hinted towards Asif many times to get me a screener. Let me help out. I let him know I've got an audience. Let me help out. He said he hadn't seen it himself. He said he hadn't seen the final cut. Now, maybe that's just what you got to tell people so that they quit bothering you so that it doesn't leak out. I don't want to be in that pool either, but I can tell that you got to see it, man. And I really am excited. I like how you said it because Rambo and Commando, I mean, those were tremendous compliments to be compared to that. And you're right. We did do it on a lower budget, but I felt like we got the shots. When I saw the trailer for this, I was very proud.
Listen, you guys got the shots. You guys got the stories. You know, obviously, since this is your first film, I think this is what, Donald's second or third. Rampage has been doing this for a while. There are some choppy moments, but that comes expected when it's not your first nature to be an actor and it's to be a fighter. But you can overlook those things because the story is there, the camaraderie is there, and it sells the emotion and the actions.
Yep, I agree with that.
But this is going to be a very fun film come May 30th. Everyone, I think you should check this out, especially if you love action films, if you love mixed martial arts, if you love combat sports, if you love anything that has to do with any form of masculinity, which has been lacking in Western society, especially the last decade, Mojave Diamonds is definitely for you.
I couldn't have said that better, my friend. We are May 30th. It's around the corner. That was the perfect plug. Thank you, RC.
Final question for this before we got to let you go, because I know our time's limited. How do we bring back the masculinity in this Western society when we see so much of it being deteriorated?
Yeah, isn't that tough? And I've seen people try to do it, and I've even seen them blamed. I've heard it called toxic, and I mean, I do see that all around me. I work for in some pretty woke situations myself. I have my own political aspirations in the future, and so I do spend a lot of time trying to think of the answer to that very question. And it is one of these things where in everyday life, some of those weaker guys are nicer to be around. I do understand that sometimes they're nicer in the workplace, but ultimately push is going to come to shove. It does every 10 years or better. And you need tough guys in charge. I mean, if you can't go to war, if you can't battle and you can't fight, you don't have a country, you don't have anything. You don't have a house, you don't have a family. Ultimately, that is what it comes down to. And we still need legitimate tough guys to be able to step up and to protect all of the other ones. And we used to have plenty of them, maybe 50-50, even be 70-30. It's going the other way now, though. We got a lot of weak people. And I can't say that about the other countries. I can't say that about the people that we might have to go toe-to-toe with. They don't. They still do believe in masculinity. They still do believe in the difference. I'll leave it at that.
Well, I'm going to call it from now, future Senator of Oregon, Chael Sonnen. It's been a great pleasure chatting with you. Remind us where we can find you on social media if we want to connect.
I'm on YouTube. That's probably the biggest place. You can also follow me on Twitter at SonnenCH.
Chael Sonnen, it's been a huge pleasure chatting with you. I can't wait to meet you face to face one of these days. And congratulations on all of the current success you've had and past success. And let's keep moving it forward.
You're a good man. I appreciate you, RC.